Hi, everybody, and welcome to Katrina Rasbold and Friends. Now, today, as you can see, I don't have any friends, so y'all have to be my friends. I have lots of friends, and I'm happy to share them with you in our interviews. But today, I wanted to talk to you about something that's been on my mind a little bit lately. I have times that I'm kind of mulling stuff over, and sometimes I feel inclined to share those things, and this is one of those times. I have, for many, many years, decades and decades now, done tarot readings for clients, Lenormand readings for clients, different types of divination for other people. And of course, that, like many people, that started out working with family and friends and eventually became part of my practice so that it's something I do all the time for people now. I have had huge amounts of experience with divination. Now, anybody who has divination done knows that the the idea of it is fortune telling. We think about it as fortune telling a lot of times, or somehow predicting the future. Here's the thing. Sometimes you kind of are, and sometimes you're not. And here's why. Your future is not written. It's just like they say in Back to the Future when Doc Brown hands Marty and Jennifer the blank paper. It's it's not written. You always have influence. I won't say you have power over, but you have influence on your future, and you can change your future on a dime. And so people will often enlist me or commission me to do a reading for them, and they want to know what will happen if I do this, or what is coming up for me in the next year or the next 6 months, or what is going to be the outcome of my relationship. Now, here's what I can do, and here's what I can't do, and then here's why. I can tell you the energy around your relationship. I can tell you the energy around the next 6 months or year for you. I can tell you what's likely to happen with your job. I can't tell you what will happen. Now, that sounds like a cop out, but there's reasons why. And it's the butterfly effect, it's the ripple effect, and it's because life is basically a choose your own adventure book. If any of you remember those from millennial days, you make choices all the time that change your future. Interestingly enough, even having a reading about your future changes your future because now you're aware of different energies around your circumstances that you may not have picked up on before. Your subconscious knew, your spirit knew, which is how I was able to see them, but you didn't know that on a conscious level. And knowing those things can change how you engage your future. That means I can't tell you absolutely what's going to happen. And honest to God, no one can. If anybody says they can definitively tell you what's going to happen in the future, they're a charlatan and they're just trying to take your money. We can tell you what's most likely to happen based on the information that we have at the time and the information your spirit has at the time, which can be conveyed through whatever divinatory process we're doing. This is like having a master computer that you can feed all this information on. I don't know, like Chat GPT, I guess, where you can give all of this information. Your spirit sifts through that information and finds the most likely outcome, excuse me, based on that information that's at hand. Now, here's an example. If you ask me what's going to happen for you next week, and I get a reading that says, hey, you're at risk for injury next week, be really careful. Don't drive. The chariot's upside down in this reading, and just be careful. Now, that's not saying you're going to have an accident if you go out next week. It's not saying you're not going to have an accident if you stay home. It's saying there is a propensity of energy around you indicating an opportunity and likelihood of an accident to happen. Now, if you wrap yourself in bubble wrap and stay in bed all day and watch TV and don't go out that week, it's very likely you're not going to have an accident. And so you're able to say, ha, your reading was wrong. Wasn't wrong. You took choices. You made choices that changed the outcome. Thank God. So you can always make choices. I can do a reading that says all the energy around your relationship is great right now. You're going through a tough time, but it looks like you're going to rebound quickly and everything's going to be romance and roses in a couple of weeks. You can leave, go out, go to a bar, pick up somebody, cheat on your partner against any relationship protocols you have, and get caught, and suddenly there's no romance, there's no roses, because you made a choice and took an action that would change that outcome. So the future isn't written. You have not control over, because I'll tell you that in a minute. You have influence over what happens next through your actions, through your very thoughts, and through the energy that you convey into your future. Now, when I mentioned that you don't have complete control, the reason is because most of the time our future has external factors involved. It has the intentions and the secrets and the behaviors of other people to consider, the energy they are putting into your life and into your choices, into what happens next. You might have some immutable force that's supposed to happen that keeps that energy from manifesting. So let's say that we're trying to draw in a soulmate for you through spell work, and you are so fixated on somebody in your life who has proven to be a dysfunctional relationship that this soulmate just goes right past you. You don't even notice them. They don't notice you, or they notice you with your energy involved in somebody else. You're not open and receiving for the soulmate energy. What you did was you hoped that this dysfunctional person you're with would be your soulmate. Now, that doesn't mean the spell work was ineffective. What it means is that you were so focused on somebody else that when the spell work worked, you didn't even notice, and you opted not to focus on that person who was incoming. Maybe they didn't fit your mold of what you're usually attracted to in a partner. And so you dismissed them despite their persistence. Hey, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here. That might have been the person that would make you happier than anybody, but you wrote them off and focused on the dysfunction instead. Now, that's just an example, but you always have influence over what comes next. Your influence is pretty strong. So when we take your influence and your attention and we sift it out with all the other things going on in your life, the energy of your life, we can usually get a reasonable prediction of what comes next. Now, another thing to consider is that the closer an event is to you, the easier it is to have a reasonable prediction of outcome. And that's because we have less time for mitigating factors to influence what happens next. So when you ask me to do a reading for you for the next year because it's your birthday, some of the things that are in the near future probably are going to pan out. But when you're asking me about something 8, 9, 10 months down the road, you are going to have so many little ripples and choices that occur that it's going to be really difficult to accurately predict something that's going to happen in 9 months or a year. There's good things and bad things about this. The bad thing is, of course, everybody that seeks out divination wants to know what's going to happen. We want some kind of control, some kind of foreknowledge about what's coming up. The good thing about this is it means everything is mutable. It hasn't happened yet. You can influence what comes next. You can make good choices, even if you made a ton of bad choices. Now, the energy from those bad choices, that's going to roll out. That's not going to stop. Sometimes we can mitigate it a little bit and make it so that the princess sleeps for 100 years instead of dying. But when you make bad choices or have unexpected outcomes that occur because of your actions, sometimes we can shift it somewhat. Sometimes we can shift it a lot. But you usually have to just deal with the rollout of that and work to get back on top again. to replace that energy with new incoming energy. And the way you do that is to change how you think and change what you're programming into your life. Now, that's not toxic positivity. I'm not saying that if bad things happen to you, it always means you made bad choices. It always means you drew that to you. Cults everywhere use that shit, and it's not applicable that I see in day-to-day life. Bad things happen to really good people. Bad things happen to people who are carved out of innocence. It does occur. It doesn't mean that they had a pre-birth contract for that to happen. It doesn't mean they drew it into their life. It just means it was their turn. Now, sometimes that action changes who they are in a good way so that they're going down a different path now. And sometimes it creates trauma responses that they have to fight against their whole lives. So bad stuff does happen. But sometimes bad stuff happens because we made bad decisions. So we try to nip and tuck and fix it as we go, but sometimes we just have to wait for that to play out. So that's what I'm trying to convey. Your future is absolutely not written. You have influence. You do not have total control. No one has total control. We always have that chaos theory little wild card that comes into play. The trickster can be at work and just lob us something we're not expecting at all, a completely unforeseen outcome that shows up, sometimes for the good, sometimes for the challenging. So there's always that little percentage that kind of leaves us going, okay, the cards didn't see that coming. And it's because it was so out of left field that it wasn't part of the matrix yet. So that's not to discourage you from ordering tarot readings or doing tarot readings yourself or throwing Lenormand or the runes or whatever divination you use. It's just saying that when you do, understand what you're doing and understand what's happening. Based on the information we have now, based on the way the energy is flowing, this is likely where it's headed. But you can always have influence to shift that if you choose to do so. You know, divination can give you marvelous insight into your life. One of the main reasons is because when we look at a situation, we are filled with filters. We have conditioned filters from past experiences. We have got fear filters about what we're concerned about happening. We have optimism filters for what we really want to have happen to the point that we blind ourselves to the possibilities of what could go wrong. We don't want to think about that. We just want to focus on the good stuff. So as humans, our conscious mind sort of clouds over what our higher self knows. With divination, that is a system of symbolism that both parts of you can speak. Eric and I wrote a book called Reuniting the Two Selves about the higher self and the conscious self and getting them in the room together to talk. It's almost, as we said in the book, like a couple that's divorcing that's sitting like this and won't talk to each other. You have to get them to interact in order to get a positive outcome. And over time, humans have evolved to the point that it's more difficult for us to access our higher selves, whereas that used to be a strong part of our inner knowing. So now it's getting quieter and quieter. We've got to reconnect those for good, positive, forward looking. And the cards and the pendulums and the runes and the Lenormands they're ways to get those two to talk so that the conscious mind can see through the cards and through the message what the higher self has figured out and what it knows. It might be trying to get it through to you in dream time. It might be trying to send you signals on a church bulletin board. You never know how the higher self is going to try to talk to you. Sometimes deity is trying to talk to you through higher self to say, don't step in that hole. Don't step in. There's a big hole up there. Don't step in the hole. You're walking right toward the hole. Don't step in the hole. And pretty soon, zip, you're right in the hole because you weren't listening or you didn't know how to hear it. Divination is one of the ways that can help you hear it and point out obvious flaws to an existing plan or help you to have a better plan moving forward. So that's my big speech for today on divination and on, in general, even away from divination, your future. Right now, it doesn't exist other than the idea that you will probably be here. You know, we have a past, even that's mutable based on what we do or don't know or do or don't feel about it. We can change our interpretation of the past based on the emotions that we have come up about it, based on new information that we learn about what actually happened compared to what we thought happened. Not gaslighting, but actual new information. So the past is somewhat mutable. A thing happened, we know that, but we don't know all the details of it. And sometimes those details are instrumental in creating a full picture of what happened in the past. We have a present. We are right here. Hi, you're watching. You're engaged. I'm seeing you. You're seeing me. We're right here. Bless your heart. I'm glad you're here. We have a present. Be in your present. Hang out in your present. You can understand the past better, but you can't change the past. At least most people can't. So let that go. It's done. It's over. It's in the rearview mirror. Drive away. Be here in your present. And in the future, be open. Make good choices. Try to be objective about what's happening. Feel your feels, but really try to get serious about what is and isn't happening and what your anticipation is, and be very careful about the energy that you're fueling into your future. And then welcome what happens, because we just don't know for sure. That's my message for today. I hope that it's meaningful to you. Maybe somebody, if even one person gets something out of it, I'm a happy girl. But that's what I've been mulling over lately, is that the future is not yet written. Way to go, Doc Brown. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.